Welcome to the Starzology Astrology podcast. I'm your host, Arwynne O'Neill, and today I'm here again with my friend Katia.
Hello, Arwynne. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. This time we're going to be talking about something super fun. This is going to be an episode about games for each of the sun signs.
I'm so stoked.
Yay!
I thought I liked celebrities and such, but no, I would say this is probably going to be my favorite.
Yes, exactly. So this is, we talked in the past once about gift ideas for the signs, and this isn't exactly that, but this is like, what games are each of the signs prone to be interested in? And of course, everyone's interests may vary, and you might be like, what? No, that's not me at all. But this is a lighthearted episode. We're just going to be talking about what your natural inclination might be based on your sun sign. And hey, we might give you some fun ideas to try.
I love it.
Yay.
I can't wait to find out what a Taurus might like.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you will be the perfect person to give some insight about that.
Ooh.
Yeah. So let's start with Aries. The first thing I thought when I think of Aries is first-person shooters.
Oh, just going in there.
I guess go right there. So action-packed video games, anything that's competitive. Games are mostly competitive, but like sports games, racing games, I'm thinking.
Okay.
And also like your solitary sort of war games, because they are very sort of martial, it's the Mars Aries kind of thing.
Well, I just discovered that apparently Aries typically has the shortest attention span of all signs.
So that makes sense. Yeah,
I know, exactly.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So chess, strategy, that kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Loves being challenged, being active.
Yeah. Totally.
I like that. Maybe I'm an Aries.
Well, that brings us to Taurus. So here, the first thing I think is poker, because they like anything with betting, anything where you can
I say that all the time. I am not actually a gambler in the traditional sense.
Like with money.
With money, yeah, exactly. I don't know why, just like disappearing money feels too risky and makes me like, it scares me too much. But you're so right. Where I was like, let's gamble. I say that so often. Yeah. And you're totally right.
That's hilarious. Wow. And of course, with video game poker, like there's, less risk.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But where's the fun? No, I'm kidding.
It's funny though, because anything with a strategic sort of element where you can build something, I think is a good Taurus thing too, where you can, I think we played a game once at your place where you build like little planets based on the different terrain. So I had all the ice cards, and my planet was like a planet of ice, and then we had like there was desert planets, and you had to kind of collect all the cards that were similar, so you could make planets that were based on one element. And then there was like the agricultural planet, and that strikes me as a very kind of Taurus thing too, because Taurus is all about land and agriculture, and the kind of the moon goddess sort of planting and all that stuff. I don't know if there are gardening games, but
you bet your sweet dish there are. We don't have them yet, but
Amazing.
We will.
Amazing.
Yeah. I wonder if we were playing Agricola or Terraforming Mars, or there are a few that are quite similar to what you're describing.
I think it might have been at that restaurant where they have all the games. So I don't remember the name of it, but I remember it had a really colorful box, and it looked very new. And that's something that's kind of attractive when you go to those restaurants, because some of the games are they look like they've been beaten up and, pizza spilled on them and whatnot. And this game looked like no one had played it. And so we were like, let's do this one. But,
I love it. Or Terra Mystica. That we have. But if it was at the restaurant, then it wasn't that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's Taurus. Exactly. So Gemini, I'm thinking obviously trivia. And pub trivia, especially because that involves social interaction and communication as well. And you have a team and, any kind of things with words, clearly.
Yeah. And all the Geminis I know are super fun. And then they like wordy things. They like chatting with friends.
Totally. Exactly. And I think multiplayer games too, but they tend to be a very short attention span. not quite as bad as the Aries, but I mean, you can keep their attention by being interesting with a Gemini. I mean, it doesn't matter how interesting you are. An Aries will lose patience with things and go off on their own and, just do something else. But as long as a Gemini is engaged with something intellectually, they'll you'll keep their interest. But I would say like short trivia games are probably best. Like an epic game of like old-timey Trivial Pursuit where it takes like hours and hours is probably not the best thing for a Gemini. Next thing you know, they'll be on their phone and they're like, your teammate's gone.
Yeah. I think one of those games, personal experience with it, that a Gemini would really like is Taboo.
Ooh.
Do you know what Taboo is?
I do. Yeah. That is a fun one.
Quick. And my partner, who's an Aries, cannot tolerate Taboo.
That's hilarious.
Finds it like too quick and can't possibly he needs to think about it.
I totally
no, you can't, you don't have time.
I feel the same way. I mean, Scattergories is another one that I like as a Virgo.
I love Scattergories,
but it is very quick and it just that little timer like it makes you so nervous. You're like tick 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 and the buzzer like, oh god. I definitely like a little more time to mull over things and get the best option, which is why we'll get to it, but for Virgo, Scrabble, like old school Scrabble, definitely more so.
Okay.
Okay. So
we'll get to it.
Okay. Cancer. I would say anything that involves simulation, like The Sims or the Game of Life, empire building kind of games where you can build a little world thing, not necessarily like Risk or where you're waging world war, but something where you're kind of like building an alternate world. Yeah. And it's not so much about the strategy and they're not like the super competitive as much, but really like that sort of world building kind of thing. I think
it's because they care so deeply for home life.
Yeah.
They're like homebodies. Not all,
but definitely more so than, your Aries, for example. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Nurturing elements in a game. Like, I think that there are some video games I've played where, I think there was a bit of an alternative sort of style, independent game style that came out, like where they kind of tried to, you're going home and you haven't been home in a long time and it's this big sort of weird, confusing mystery house, but it's not like a horror kind of game. It's just you're uncovering all these like mysteries of your family and you go into each room and you discover something new about this family member who, lived in that room, and you're uncovering all kinds of like neat little, you're opening doors and finding little secrets and you're piecing together like all these different sort of aspects of your personal history. And that I would think would be a really Cancerian kind of thing.
Absolutely.
It's all about
that sounds legacy. Exactly right.
Yeah. It was a fascinating game, actually. It was one of the most kind of unique original games I've played. So Leo, I'm thinking party games, like murder mystery games.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, where they can play a character. They can get into something where they're performing.
Yes. They need an audience.
An audience, exactly. And all the better if there's like, charades is a good one. Another one.
Yes.
But RPGs as well, even if they're just by themselves.
Maybe I'm a Leo.
Yeah, I have a bit of that as well. I love RPGs. But I love the story,
Yes.
Like if it's just an RPG where you're, kind of just gallivanting around and you're changing costume, it's, I like there to be a really good story, That's important.
Oh, yeah, you'd love D&D, Vampire Masquerade, Call of Cthulhu.
Totally.
I don't know if I'm missing another universe, but you would love all of that.
Absolutely. And those, that's a definite thing with Leo, too, because a lot of those involve actual costumes.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a cool aspect about a Leo, because, like, they might really like being center of attention, but it's usually positive attention.
Yeah.
It's not, it tends to be, like, a good thing.
Totally.
They just happen to be really good at what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And they're like loving it.
Well, that's why so many of the most amazing actors, the number of actors who have won Best Actor or Actress who are Leos is astounding. And Best Director as well. Like the number of Leos is it's disproportionate. It's statistically significant, as they say.
Yeah.
So they're very much just natural performers, and for the good of all.
Lucky us.
Yeah, exactly. We get to just bask in it.
And now,
okay, Virgo.
Tell us, what do you like?
Well, I do love RPGs. I love Scrabble, real Scrabble with a board, and also like the Words with Friends on my phone. I definitely do a lot of that in my downtime. And I start my day, this is so funny, this is a weird little thing, but like every morning I actually start my day with Wordle, the New York Times game, and Connections. Like and it takes me like just a couple minutes usually, not to...
Really? Wordle takes you a couple minutes? Actually?
I'm actually pretty good at it.
What?
Sometimes it stumps me and I actually have to come back to it over the course of the day. Wow. But like I never don't finish it. Like occasionally I'll lose, like, but I never just don't finish it.
You can lose in Wordle?
Yeah. I've lost like a couple times.
Oh.
Yeah, where you just don't figure it out.
Unlimited.
Oh no, you get 5 guesses.
What? Okay,
yeah.
I'm thinking of a different game then.
Yeah.
I thought it was like unlimited guesses, and it just tells you how close you are.
It tells you how close you are for sure, but you get 5 guesses in the New York Times one. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's 5. Oh my God, now I'm going to have to go check. 5 or 6. Yeah, and if you don't get it, then it's like next time, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
And I think the streak, the most days that I've gone without like losing, I think was like 36 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess you would be one of those people that cannot possibly leave a game unfinished. Like you have to finish it.
Well, I mean, those types of games for sure. Yeah. I mean, there are RPGs that I've played which are, like Dragon Age Inquisition, for example, and anyone who's played it, who's listening, will be like, yeah, because that's many, many, like dozens of hours worth of gameplay. And there are just some, things that there's some dragon up in some desert area and you've already actually won the game, but then you could go back and kill that dragon, but why bother? Like, I don't need to kill every dragon, Or, Mass Effect, Andromeda, which is another open world one by the same, by BioWare, who I absolutely love. Shout out to BioWare if anyone's listening. Hire me.
Dropping that in.
Yeah, just throwing it out there, just in case. It never hurts to plant the seeds. But yeah, their games are amazing, incredibly immersive RPGs where you have tons of characters and conversations and mysteries and puzzles and fighting and everything. And I absolutely love those. I don't know if that's 100% a Virgo thing because I think there's a lot of signs that are attracted to those things. But yeah, like as far as completion, if it's a smaller, I definitely have to complete a game of Scrabble for sure. Like if, if some game gets interrupted and, you can't finish it. Like, it's annoying.
And how good are you?
At Scrabble?
Yeah. I'm just wondering if I should challenge you.
I am pretty good at Scrabble. Yeah, challenge accepted, for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a date.
Yay. Well, speaking of dates, so Libra is the sign of partnership. And I'm thinking they love any kind of games that involve teamwork. This is one of the signs that's actually attracted to multiplayer games, I think.
Oh, like co-op games?
Yeah.
I'm still thinking board games.
Oh, I mean, co-op. Totally. I actually love co-op video games, but there's so few of them that are good. I don't
actually know very many video games.
Well, that's exactly it. There's a lot of multiplayer ones where you can play against strangers, but if you want to sit and play like co-op with someone on the couch, there's not very many really good ones. But yeah, Libra would be super into that. I think puzzles where you match things up too, like Connections, for example, the New York Times one, or like the old-fashioned concentration game where it's just the simple one where you turn over each card and then you have to like remember where they were.
Oh,
and
yeah.
But anything where you can play as a team or kind of create something beautiful, because Libra is also ruled by Venus along with Taurus. I think both of those signs would be attracted to anything where you're
more aesthetic.
Yeah, aesthetic games for sure.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. It's funny, there are these games that are always advertised, when I'm playing my online Scrabble games or whatever, and it'll always have like these little commercial breaks where they advertise different video games. And one of the themes I've noticed is these decorating games where you're decorating a room. I downloaded one for like 5 minutes. It was, you could do that, but it
might have been for a younger audience or like a younger player.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, sometimes we have to look at what the age group is for the games that we're looking at.
Yeah, for sure.
And if it's like 4 and under, we're like, okay, this might be a little too simple.
Well, yeah, totally. The decorating ones were kind of interesting, but like you lose interest pretty quickly with them.
don't really want to go there, but I will. One of the best and one of the only really co-op games that we used to play quite a bit before something else happened is literally called Pandemic.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and
I've heard of that.
Oh,
is it good?
Yes,
it looks amazing.
It is amazing,
and this is like a traditional board. For everyone to listen.
It's a physical board game, and we've played that one many, many, many times. And then at some point, our friends got Pandemic Legacy.
Oh,
and I hope it's called Legacy. But what was interesting about this one in particular is that not only was it a co-op game where like all of us are specialists in different ways, and we were trying to eradicate a disease from overtaking the whole earth.
Right.
Until it became a little too close to home, like close for comfort, and we paused that for a while. But with what's so interesting about the Legacy one is that you actually tear up some cards, or you eliminate some of the characters or some aspects of the board. You literally put a sticker, and then you can't go there ever again because you have
quarantine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there are zombies involved.
And
it gets so stressful so quickly because you're trying to save the planet ultimately. And
if you start to lose, like it just a domino effect, no pun intended, to bring in a different game. But
we still haven't had the heart to go back to it and play it again. It just feels a little too soon still.
Maybe. Well, when you're ready, let me know, because I will completely...
Absolutely.
I will join you in that one. That sounds amazing.
But there are lots of other ones, and I think one that you would really like is called Mysterium.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that's at that same board game cafe that we went to. I think that's the only place we've ever played it at. We haven't added it to our collection yet.
Right.
But there's so many other ones. We've just found them a little complicated in some ways, or a little bit, we just haven't had access to
them involved yet. If you're actually at the cafe to play something that's going to take that long.
It will take you a while.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, excuse me, we're trying to turn this table over. Like,
exactly. Yeah. So that's
Libra.
Nice.
Okay. Well, since you said Mysterium, this is interesting because Scorpio, I think, definitely would love that. Like, not only the pandemic thing, because they do love a little bit of darkness, a little intensity, a little bit of a, kind of a aspect of horror or mystery or darkness in their thing. I'm thinking Resident Evil is a great Scorpio game for video games. RPGs that have sorcery or, occult aspect, vampires.
Yeah,
I had a great it was not a great vampire game, actually. It was a terrible vampire game, but it was interesting at first, and it was enough that I actually bought it in its first week as a release. It just turned out to not be a really well-designed game. But I'm not to throw any kind of game makers under the bus, but I think by now it was like 5 years ago, they probably know that their game was not all that successful. Mm-hmm. But it was Vampire with a Y, I think. And you play this doctor who's like in World War I. He comes back from the front where he was like a surgeon. And he is bitten by a vampire on the docks when he's returning to London to come home.
Yeah.
And then he's a vampire, but he's also a surgeon. So he's trying to like cure this plague because it's the beginning of like the actual Spanish flu.
Yeah.
So he's trying to cure the plague, but then also he's a vampire. And there's this kind of weird interplay of like, I failed at that game miserably. I basically let my vampire tendencies overtake any kind of like anything, and I just kind of destroyed everything. Yeah. And in the end, it was just like wandering through this London where everything was just like dead and ruined and infected and awful. Yeah. And I was alone. It's like, wow.
Some vampires like that.
I mean, but then there's nobody to, feast on. So then you kind of, So.
Do you remember your feeding style?
I
just learned that there's a bunch of those.
What I remember most about this game, and this is hilarious because my partner, Roger, who I've talked about many times, would be sitting next to me trying to like focus on something else while I'm playing this video game. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't playing it with headphones on, which I probably should have been, because when you can't find someone to feed on, if you're trying to like, preserve the human population and not feed on them, you can eat rats. You can suck their blood, right?
Yeah.
But there are only 4 lines that it would say, the game would say over and over if you are eating a rat. It would try to sort of dissuade you by being annoying, right? And one of them was, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Oh, no.
And every time he would like just have to leave the room after a while because he got so annoying. And the other one was, I have this thirst for blood, which is hilarious. So yeah, my feeding style was eating rats, like just to stay alive.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, no shame in that.
I mean, I didn't think so, but you would have to ask Roger about that. He was disgusted and annoyed.
Okay. Got it. Scorpio likes mysterious, secretive, mystery, darker games.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And how about Sagittarius?
Yeah. I mean, thinking fantasy and adventure games for sure are just naturally Sagittarius.
Like outdoor games?
Oh, I mean,
reckon?
Could be outdoor for sure. But I mean, if we're just talking about and that's interesting too, because I was thinking about those zombie walk kind of games where you're like, you're outside and you have to get a crew together and you go and you get chased by zombies in real life. I would think that both Scorpio and Sagittarius would be attracted to that because there's this aspect of adventure and reality.
How do I not know about this? Because Arwynne, we did a game already. Yeah, we need to do this one too. I'd love to be chased by a zombie. Right, I know. For fun.
They actually have that. I mean, it was, I think, maybe paused obviously because of the actual for real pandemic, but I think they must have restarted them somewhere.
If you see it, let me know.
I will, for sure.
But what we've done, actually a couple years ago, if not 3, I don't remember any, the scavenger hunt game outside.
Yeah, right? For sure.
And that was really fun.
That was totally fun. Yeah, hours and hours of fun. Just wandering around the city. You get tons of exercise, tons of steps.
Yeah.
And you find all these crazy things.
You did put your step counter on, and it was something ridiculous. It was like like
I don't know, 30,000 or so. It was ridiculous.
I mean, like the game was only supposed to last us up to 2 hours, and we took like 4.
Right. Well, we were testing it out too. Yeah. And so it was definitely longer than they had anticipated. Yeah. And it's not like we're dummies. Like we,
right?
Yeah, exactly. We were definitely their target test audience, and it was hard. It was complicated.
I would say so.
Yeah. A lot of walking.
It was so challenging,
it was so much fun,
and
though.
like so fun and just like really rewarding.
Yeah. A combination of puzzles and trivia and learning about your city and all kinds of stuff. It was great.
Okay.
So Sagittarius fantasy, like I would think definitely like the Dragon Age, anything with dragons, anything with like with sorcery, with adventure, games where you're traveling and you're discovering different places and you're going, like there's that one Far Cry I think is one of them, like just games where you're like an adventurer of some kind, and Lara Croft, obviously, Tomb Raider, that kind of stuff, total Sagittarian games.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how about Capricorn?
If they play games at all, I'm thinking, I mean, Monopoly is the obvious one, right?
Of course. By the way, there's a Costco Monopoly.
What? That's hilarious.
Can you believe that? Yeah. I wonder if a Capricorn would like that.
I mean, how could they not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, seriously, though, we kid the Capricorns. I'm sure that they're a lot more fun than we give them credit for.
So they like strategy building.
Yeah, empire building games. I mean, Grand Theft Auto was an empire building game.
Oh, okay.
I
guess so. Yeah.
And there's that incredibly successful trailer that just came out last month for the new one, which is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Grand Theft Auto 6. Yeah, so for the Capricorn on your list.
That's my mom.
Yeah, exactly. Grand Theft Auto for the mom, for sure. Yeah. But anything that involves building an empire or planning, resource management games, I would think these are Capricorn themes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aquarius. Science fiction games, for sure. Okay. Anything that involves virtual reality, untraditional, unconventional, Starfield, that new game that not new now, but science fiction. Cutting edge. Yeah, like innovation. Anything that they can actually kind of make their own rules. That's another thing too. Okay. Like there are some games where you have to kind of think outside the box, no pun intended, and kind of create your own strategy. I think that's definitely an Aquarian thing. Yeah, they are unconventional. Rock band or whatever, like that would be one.
Guitar Hero.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Stuff like that.
Okay.
Or, anything that's like, I mean, they need to use gaming to relax, I think, because their minds are just so engaged most of the time in building stuff, doing innovative things in their real world work and life. So anything that's going to relax them into a game that's an alternate reality, I think, is a good thing for an Aquarius.
Yeah, but with that futuristic element.
Futuristic,
that tends to be more their
style. Like more innovative and cutting edge and interesting and kind of different.
Okay.
I think anything that's too competitive or too, realistic is going to be more stressful for an Aquarian.
Yeah, I can see that.
And Pisces.
Last but not least.
Exactly. No, we love our Pisceans. They love puzzles. They love stories. Anything that's creative and artistic. Tetris, for example, is one. Anything that's kind of a Tetris style game, like puzzles where they're shifting things around. Destiny was another one that's like a video game that's really got an interesting kind of non-linear sort of story about it.
All I know is that they express themselves freely through artistic realms. So games unleashing their vivid imagination must be their targets.
Totally.
Cool.
Totally.
Yeah, it sounds like we don't have very many Aquarius-friendly games or Pisces-friendly games. And I don't know why that is.
Yeah, well, hey.
I think I'm more earthly.
I know, right? Yeah, we've got a Virgo and a Taurus in the room here. So we're like, hey, give us a shout, all the Pisces out there and Aquarius, and let us know what your favorite games are. Exactly. Yes. Let us know, and we'll revisit.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome.
Thank you so much, Arwynne.
Thank you for joining me.
My most favorite
episode
that I've contributed to.
Amazing.
Mostly because I feel like I didn't have very much to say about the other ones.
Well,
I have more about this.
You are a game master, so it's definitely an obvious choice to invite you along for this conversation. So
thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. Bye for now.
Thanks so much for getting this far through the episode. I just want to take a moment to tell you about the two main options of my astrology services. So the first one is coaching. If you are an aspiring astrologer, and by that I mean someone who's perhaps a hobbyist astrologer or someone who's learning astrology or a student, or you've got a few books and you've been doing it for a while, but perhaps you need a little bit of help to bring it all together, then maybe getting some astrological coaching from me would be the answer for you. The astrology coaching I offer is a 1-hour session on Zoom, and it's tailored to answer your particular questions. For example, if you have issues with natal chart readings, we can go there. Or if you're having problems working with your forecasting, we can go there. Or even basic astrology stuff, or even getting yourself organized for your astrology business. The idea is that astrological coaching will answer your particular questions. It's tailored specifically to you and where you are in your astrological journey. And I'm happy to help you out with some guidance about how you can get going, what to focus on, and what to dismiss. So that would be the astrological coaching for people trying to learn astrology. The second astrological service I offer is consultations. So this is for someone who perhaps doesn't know anything about astrology, but they just want to have their chart read or get their chart done. Call it what you will. So once more, this is a 1-hour consultation over Zoom. I will interpret your chart, tell you about the main features, tell you about where the energy is flowing, and all the rest of what is entailed in a thorough natal chart interpretation. I can also add in some forecasting in there too, bearing in mind we only have 1 hour. So just in summary, I've got coaching for people who want to learn astrology, and I've got consultations for those who want to get an astrology reading done. I'm Alison Price from Starzology.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.